Hey everyone, today's review is about the Nikon D2x. It's a single lens reflex camera, digital one from 2004 with 12 megapixels. It was then the top of the line camera, and now many years later I decided to get one, first to do a review and second also to see whether a professional camera from the early 2000s is still capable and can be used for photography in various fields. In order to do that, I decided to come to Vienna's 16th district, the Ippenplatz. It's usually a very busy area, but today, during Sunday, it's quite deserted, but there are some interesting graffitis which I'm gonna take some shots of, and yeah, just to show you how the camera performs in outdoor scenarios. So as you just saw, I picked the Nikon 28-70 2.8 AFS-D lens, so it has an aperture ring. But I also want to show you the low light capability of this camera. The sensor has an ISO range from 100 to 800 normal, which can be extended to 1600 and 3200. And in order to do that and show you how the sensor actually performs, I'm gonna grab a tram and go to one of my favorite cafes in the 16th district. Come along. So hey there, now I'm at Café Ritter in Vienna's 16th district. As you can see, it's full of people, so I'm probably gonna keep the talking to a minimum in here. Nonetheless, it's a great place to take some high ISO shots. For that purpose, I've put on the 35mm AFD f2. It's a very classic lens, can be had for not too much of money, and I'm gonna shoot some shots at ISO 800 and enjoy a cup of coffee. See you soon. I think this is also a nice opportunity to show you the rear screen. Here we go. All right. That was the white balance was a little bit off. As you can see, the quality of the LCD screen is absolutely adequate. It can be a little bit tricky to judge the sharpness, to be honest. After a good cup of coffee, I'm back in the studio, and I thought it's gonna be a good idea to wrap up some thoughts, because of course this was not the first time I've ever worked with the Nikon D2x. I've been shooting with this camera for about 5 months now, and I've collected quite some experience because I really use this camera during, let's say, free projects and also commercial shootings. The first thing I'd like to mention is the autofocus system. The D2x uses the same autofocus system as the legendary Nikon F6 film SLR. It's the Multicam 2000. Essentially, it is a 11-point autofocus system that covers the whole frame because, of course, the D2x is an APS-C camera. I found this system to be very capable and very snappy. Also, the fact that it has 11 selectable focus points makes it a very quick camera to adjust the focus point.
The other thing I'd like to point out is the 12 megapixel resolution of the D2X. While it doesn't sound like a lot, as you saw in the previous sample images, it is just enough for social media and most print applications. The fact that it is an APS-C camera is a little bit annoying. Nikon didn't really come out with a lot of APS-C lenses, especially in the prime sector. So you have to always deal with this crop factor of 1.5. So during the shooting in the cafe, I used a 35mm f2, which was a 50mm in full frame terms on the D2X. So if you are going in the wide angle sector, this can be a little bit tricky. However, there are capable DX wide angle zooms available, but for me, as a primarily full frame shooter, I of course didn't get dedicated lenses for the D2X, to be honest, because it was kind of like a fun camera to try out. If you plan on using the D2X in a professional context or in a studio context, or also as an event photographer, I'd say this is a great camera because it uses Nikon's ITTL system, and yeah, it's actually a very capable flash metering system. This is also one of the reasons why I recommend the Nikon F6 as a film camera regularly, because of the ITTL flash system. The other thing with ITTL is that the D2X is capable of connecting with contemporary flash triggers from Nissin, Godox and so on, because yeah, it essentially has Nikon's top of the line standard still. So talking about using the Nikon D2X as a sports camera. The regular 12 megapixel shooting speed of the camera is around 5 frames a second. But this camera has one trick up its sleeve. It has like a crop mode where you can get the frame rate up to 8 frames per second. When activating the high-speed crop function, the crop factor is increased to 2 times compared to full frame, and it is essentially then a micro four thirds sensor size approximately, and the camera then shoots at 6.8 megapixels but at 8 frames per second. Let me set it up in the menu. All right. So yeah, that's quite a difference. And in my honest opinion, this makes the D2X a very capable sports camera, because not only is it shooting at this 8 frames per second, it is also metering and autofocusing at this speed. So very capable even in 2022. So to sum up my review really quick, I actually intended to get the camera, shoot a couple of months with it and sell it afterwards. But I really fell in love with it. Why? The handling is just amazing. It is actually very, very pleasantly to hold in the hand. It has like this built-in vertical grip. The controls are positioned nicely, and it resembles my beloved Nikon F6 in many ways. The autofocus system seems to be kind of a sweet spot for using AFD lenses. So that's really cool. I'd also like to point out that the viewfinder is actually very, very pleasant. It is not as large as it is in a full frame digital camera, but it is also not as small as in a regular APS-C camera. It is somewhere in between, and the effect is that you can take a look at the whole frame without having to move the eye around. For example, when shooting my D800, I have to like move my eyeball from corner to corner to really see everything that's in the frame. That's not an issue with the D2X. Compared to contemporary digital cameras, even the professional ones, these cameras have like this extra feeling of durability and craftsmanship to them. So that's fun to use and really a pleasure. I mean, it's also about having a great experience and time with a camera. So to sum it up, If you're a professional photographer and you're looking for a cheap studio camera that essentially does it all, then why not get a D2X? It costs around 300 euro in very, very good condition. 12 megapixel is enough, and the colors that come out of this camera right away without any edits are gorgeous. There is this kind of film-like saturation to them that's special. And yes, I'm growing very fond of these older digital cameras, and I can only recommend you trying old vintage digital cameras yourself, because then you will actually see that tools even made 15 or more years ago are already capable of delivering professional results. And you might end up not changing your current digital body that often. That's good for the environment and also good for your bank account. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing or following me on Instagram, and see you next time.